The Indiana Fever are falling apart from the inside. And the latest development makes everything we have seen this week look like a warm-up act. Lin Dunn, one of the most powerful people in the entire Indiana Fever organization, the woman who coached this franchise to their only championship, the woman who has more institutional power inside that building than almost anyone alive, just publicly sided with Stephanie Whtie against Caitlin Clark. She didn't say it out loud, she didn't need to. She let a retweet do the talking. And in doing so, she revealed exactly where this organization stands. Not with their star player, not with the woman who transformed this franchise from irrelevant to must-see television overnight, with the coach who has been struggling all season to manage her. This is no longer just a player-coach tension story. This is an organization that has chosen a side, and they did not choose Caitlin Clark. Let's start with what Lin Dunn actually did. An article was published describing Stephanie Whtie as exactly who the Indiana Fever wanted to lead the Caitlin Clark era. On the surface, that sounds complimentary to everyone. But dig into the details of that article and a very different picture emerges. The article describes coaching Caitlin Clark as the toughest job in the entire WNBA. It refers to Clark as a sitting duck during hunting season when discussing her defensive struggles. It frames Whtie as someone who deserves grace and patience because of how difficult it is to coach Clark. The message underneath the surface of this article is clear. Caitlin Clark is the problem. Stephanie Whtie is the victim. And Lin Dunn, one of the most powerful figures in this organization, went out of her way to amplify that message to the world by retweeting it. Now let's talk about who Lin Dunn actually is, because this isn't some random person hitting retweet. Lin Dunn has been with the Indiana Fever organization for decades. She was the head coach when they won their only championship. She has a relationship with ownership that goes back over 20 years. She has more institutional pull in that building than the GM, the president of basketball operations, and arguably the head coach. When Lin Dunn publicly amplifies something, it carries weight. It sends a message. And the message she sent by retweeting that article is unmistakable. She is telling the world that she stands with Stephanie Whtie. She is doing it at the exact moment when the entire fan base is calling for Whtie to be held accountable for how she has handled Caitlin Clark all season. And then there is a connection that makes this retweet even more significant. Because Lin Dunn has a decade-long relationship with sports commentator Dan Dockage. She has appeared on his show multiple times over the years. They are connected. And in recent days, Dockage went on air and said some of the most inflammatory things anyone has said publicly about Caitlin Clark all season. He claimed the organization wants nothing to do with her, that Whtie cannot stand her, that Clark is a diva and a menace. Now here is what Dockage himself said about where he gets his information from.
This shit off of a bathroom wall and take a piss and say, you know what? Caitlin Clark's a diva. I talk to people inside the organization. I got people everywhere. I do. I mean, you can make...
He talks to people inside the organization, his own words. And his closest known connection inside that organization is Lin Dunn herself. The same Lin Dunn who just retweeted an article framing Clark as the hardest player in the WNBA to coach. Now, can it be confirmed that Dockage is speaking directly for Dunn? No. But the relationship exists. The retweet exists. And when a man who says he talks to people inside the Fever organization has a decade-long relationship with the most powerful person in that building, and that person turns around and publicly amplifies an article that frames their star player as the problem, you have to ask yourself what is really going on inside the Indiana Fever. Because this dysfunction isn't just visible from the outside, it has been leaking from the inside all week. And the people doing the leaking aren't anonymous sources. They are Fever players and coaches speaking in front of cameras at official media availabilities. Sophie Cunningham accidentally revealed that the team had a secret 2-hour meeting after the Portland loss. A meeting that was never supposed to become public. And that wasn't even the most significant thing that leaked out this week.
Sophie Cunningham stated that there was a 2-hour meeting. If there was a 2-hour meeting that they did not want us to know about, Sophie Cunningham definitely told it and gave us transparency. She also gave us transparency on the one look defense. Stephanie is only running one defense. And immediately after that, we started seeing rumblings from Alyssa Thomas speaking about this situation.
A 2-hour meeting nobody was supposed to know about. One defensive scheme that every team in the league has already figured out and is exploiting every single game. These aren't conspiracy theories. These aren't fan accounts speculating on social media. These are Fever players and coaches telling you directly in front of cameras that something is seriously wrong inside this organization. And the front office response to all of this has not been to address it transparently. It has been to go into PR overdrive, defending Stephanie Whtie while blocking fans who ask legitimate questions. Think about what this week has actually looked like from the outside. Footage emerged of Whtie yelling at Clark on the bench and slamming her clipboard. Cheryl Miller went on ESPN and called out the frustration boiling over publicly. Calls for White's firing reached a fever pitch across every platform. Clark came out and publicly defended Whtie in what was a genuinely emotional press conference. She said she rides for Steph. She said she bawled in White's arms when she was hurt. She said Steph has her back more than anybody. That is a player trying to hold this thing together. That is a player choosing loyalty over drama. And the organization's response to that extraordinary display of loyalty was for Lin Dunn to retweet an article calling Clark a sitting duck and the toughest player in the league to coach. GM Amber Cox has been on social media blocking Clark fans who criticized the roster construction. She blocked Jason Whitlock for pointing out coaching failures. The front office stayed completely silent when Tiffany Hayes publicly validated threats of violence against Clark on social media. The WNBA launched a full investigation when Angel Reese made accusations against Fever fans. But when a Valkyries player laughed along with posts about sending people to physically harm Clark, the league said absolutely nothing. And now, Lin Dunn is amplifying articles that frame their own star player as the reason the team is struggling. Every single action this organization has taken this week points in the same direction. When you lay it all out, there's really only one conclusion that makes sense.
It's very clear from the Indiana Fever organization that they are willing to throw Caitlin under the bus for Stephanie White's to try to redeem Stephanie White's reputation. Because when it's all said and done, this pretty much is one of these situations where they are making it clear Steph is
their coach. That is not a fan account talking. That is someone who watched every piece of evidence this week and arrived at the same conclusion that thousands of Clark fans are arriving at right now. 3 different analysts, 3 different channels, 3 completely independent perspectives on this situation, all arriving at the same place. The Indiana Fever organization has chosen Stephanie Whtie, and the way they have made that choice clear is not by saying it directly. It is by what they amplify, who they block, who they protect, and who they leave exposed. And here's what makes this so difficult to watch. Caitlin Clark is doing everything right. She is averaging over 20 points and nearly 10 assists per game. She is breaking WNBA records at a pace nobody has ever seen before. She publicly defended her coach this week with genuine emotion when she had every right to say nothing. She is managing a back injury that resulted directly from White's minutes mismanagement. She is getting physically targeted every single game by opponents who have figured out the ISO ball strategy that White has still not found an answer for. She is doing all of this under a level of scrutiny that no player in women's basketball history has ever faced. And instead of the organization rallying around her, protecting her, and publicly backing their franchise player, Lin Dunn, is retweeting articles that call her a sitting duck. The Indiana Fever have a once-in-a-generation talent. A player who has done more for this franchise, this league, and women's basketball than anyone in the history of the sport. A player who came out this week and defended her coach with tears in her eyes when every piece of evidence suggested she had every right to be furious. And the organization's response to all of that has been to back the coach, block the fans, silence the critics, and amplify articles that frame their star as the problem. Lin Dunn's retweet was not just irresponsible. It was a declaration. The Indiana Fever have chosen Stephanie Whtie. And the question that every Caitlin Clark fan is asking right now is whether Clark will accept that choice. Based on everything we have watched this week, that question deserves a serious answer. And the Fever had better have one ready. What do you think? Has the Indiana Fever organization completely turned on Caitlin Clark? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications because we have full coverage of the Fever's massive matchup with Angel Reese and the Atlanta Dream coming tomorrow. We'll see you then.